I was looking for a physician who previously I had been misdiagnosed, and I came to the Taylors as I found them on the internet. I'd seen numerous physicians before that. I'd been diagnosed with thyroid problems, and I came to them because I had found them on the internet, and I noticed that they did saliva testing. So as I came to them, I found that I felt like that they would diagnose me in the correct way because I'd been misdiagnosed. I'd been told that my problems were old age, it was genetic, it was all in my mind. And as I came to the Taylors with my previous testing, they spent almost 2 hours reviewing all the previous tests that I had and trying to come up with a diagnosis. And they realized I'd been misdiagnosed, and I was probably on the wrong hormone replacement in an excessive amount. So after we did the saliva testing, they did find I was on the wrong hormones. It was excessive, and they worked to find the correct dosage, the correct diagnosis. And but primarily that was the thyroid that they had worked upon. My life was significantly affected before I came to see the Taylors. Prior to that, I'd been a very active person. I did lots of exercise, played golf, had lots of energy, and all of a sudden I did notice that I had enormous amounts of fatigue. I could not do what I used to do. My exercise, I would exercise easily 30 minutes a day, and that went down to 20 to 15 minutes. But just my overall health was just slowly deteriorating, and I felt I was too young for that to happen. So that was another indicator. That was a huge indicator. My hair falling out was a big indicator, and not being able to lose weight like I previously had. And I felt because all of this happened so quickly, right after some surgery, I knew it had been affected and impacted by something in my life. When I came to the Taylors, I had so many different symptoms, so many different problems, and they were very comprehensive in diagnosing all the problems that I had. And they, with the saliva testing, with some blood testing, with amino acid testing, GI panel testing, they were able to diagnose that I had the hormone problem, had adrenal fatigue, very deficient in amino acid. My liver did not work correctly. I had enormous amounts of food sensitivities, very severe in food that I ate, and not the type of food that you would think. It was everything I ate, in that it was apples, bananas, lettuce. So when a physician might tell you to eat proper food, if it's not the correct food, then it really does the body more damage than good. And also, prior to coming to the Taylors, I had seen other physicians. They gave me enormous amounts of testosterone, estrogen, progesterone, DHEA, and that contributed to huge amounts of hair loss. So now my hair is beginning to come back normally, but the diagnosis was comprehensive. It's quite complex in that I did have food sensitivities, I did have parasites, I have the adrenal issue, as well as the thyroid, because I did have the Hashimoto's disease, which is an autoimmune disease. And Dr. Taylor, I don't have that anymore. And that was always diagnosed that you would have that for life. And he got rid of that. So that was truly a miracle that I no longer have this autoimmune disease. When I first realized that I was losing my hair and could not lose weight, and this was immediately after having some foot surgery, I proceeded to see different physicians, my regular internist, some endocrinologists, gynecologists, you name it. I went to see them and was given the diagnosis that it was old age, it was genetic. The compassion I received was, well, at least you're not losing a leg as a diabetic. So I needed to see someone who would have empathy as a patient and look at me as an individual. When I first came to Dr. Taylor and I was on an excess amount of hormones, he immediately prescribed to get the correct hormone balance. And then the next visit, by the salivary testing, he noticed that those had not decreased as much as he would think. Then he diagnosed that probably my liver did not work correctly. And so we did a liver challenge test, and that showed exactly that my body would not work fast enough to excrete excess amounts of hormones. So he put me on a supplement that would help support the liver to rid it of excess hormone. When I first came in to see Dr. Taylor, I had been misdiagnosed. I'd seen numerous physicians and knew that I was just fitting into their diagnosis, their prognosis of how to treat someone, that they really didn't look at me as an individual. They couldn't understand the chronic metabolic problems that I had. Again, I knew I had this huge fatigue. I knew my hormones did not work correctly. And after seeing him, and he put me through regimens of testing, looking at nutrients, nutrition, the food sensitivities, that was a huge impact in my life. And I could see results immediate in that my hair stopped falling out after taking so many excessive hormones that helped with the food sensitivity. Obviously, having the correct hormone, adrenal fatigue, my weight did not become an issue anymore because that was addressed with the thyroid. And we did work with different thyroid medicines. Originally I came in and I was taking the Armor. That was fine with Dr. Taylor. Then we said maybe we'll change that to the bioidentical. That was immediate. Within 3 days I felt the warmest I had felt in a number of years. And I knew that day I knew I would be back to being the old person that my same self, because I did not have this cold intolerance, cold hands, cold feet. Weight didn't become an issue anymore, and I knew that was, again, I didn't have the fatigue. But prior to coming to Dr. Taylor, I had seen numerous physicians, and I knew they just did not know how to treat. They could never take the time. They'd spend maybe 15, 20 minutes, and there's no way that you can look at a person with the chronic illness that I had and with the numerous symptoms that I had. There's no way you could treat that in 15 minutes. And when I first came to see the Taylors, they took an hour and a half. They've spent more than 2 hours sometime to go through each supplement I took, to go through the thyroid medicine I took, what previous dosage I took, maybe to individualize that dosage even a little bit further. So to really look at a person as an individual and take lots of time. I never come in and feel that they are looking at their watches, they're really rushed, and that's how I always refer them to my friends. When I came to see Dr. Taylor and he prescribed a bioidentical hormone replacement, I started taking that, and within 3 days I noticed a huge increase in energy. I noticed that weight was not an issue. That was an amazing day because I knew we were on the right track to find the cure to this chronic illness that I had, the chronic hormone problem, chronic fatigue. That was the day I knew that my life was changed. That was the day I knew I was on my way to wellness.